Pokemon player tries Yu-Gi-Oh for a week. Believe it or not, chat, I actually learned to play the Pokemon TCG before Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just like I never I never streamed it or anything, but I actually kind of know what the game was like around a year and a half basically that I got into the highest rank in the competitive TCG. So I kinda know what we're talking about here compared to the Magic videos where I have no clue what is going on. So let's watch and see the experience of a Pokemon player trying Yu-Gi-Oh.
You might be aware that Pokemon players and Yu-Gi-Oh players seem to beef with each other.
Okay, hold on, I need to read this. You need to stop trying to add Yu-Gi-Oh to Pokemon. We want a game to get better, not worse. You need to stop trying to add Yu-Gi-Oh to Pokemon. Interesting. I wonder what this is a reply to. VTuber Juvel. Well, I can already hear that Yu-Gi-Oh players going to I wouldn't play anything for a Pokemon deck because you don't have hand traps, Lemao. What a skillless game made for babies because there is no hand traps. And this is the same person again. Months later. Alright, on some real shit though, I wish other TCGs were as cheap as Pokemon is. Like maybe it'd be more willing to try Yu-Gi-Oh! Or One Piece or anything else if decks, from what I've seen, didn't cost like 200 plus each. Well, this got fixed for Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really cheap right now. Well, there is alternatives, right? There are decks that are super cheap, but not every deck is built the same. So I understand in a way that is still true, but there is some really good ones that are super cheap.
On Twitter every 6 months or so.
Oh. Now that you play Pokemon TCG, you should try to learn Yu-Gi-Oh! It's really good. Me trying to read a paragraph amount of words. Yeah. Yeah. In a really small Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. I agree. Pokemon TCG is weird but neat. It's one of those few games with zero interaction on the other people's turn. Yeah. Totally. I see that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been expensive before. Right now it's relatively cheap. Yes. Yes.
One of the things I always see highlighted in these discussions is the fact that Pokemon is much cheaper to get into and play competitively. And I've played.
Wait, hold on. Bro, who says that? We don't want hand traps? Who's saying that? Who's saying that we don't want hand traps? Because I feel like people that actually play the game, that people that play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the hand traps. I don't know.
Played games like Magic in the past, and while I had a great time competing, it just got so freaking expensive. And I'd heard things similar about Yu-Gi-Oh! Too, about how that game was super expensive and impossible to play without like taking a mortgage on your house.
Is this an actual gameplay by Jen here? Playing Radiant Typhoon in your first week of playing the game is crazy.
Well, imagine my surprise when I see this tweet pop up in my feed.
Yeah, exactly what I was talking about.
$30? Now I was a bit skeptical at first, because wasn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Supposed to be an expensive game too?
Nope.
I knew that like starter decks existed, but didn't those all just suck compared to what real Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like at tournaments? But nope, I did some follow-up research after seeing this tweet, and apparently 2 out of the 3 decks in the legendary modern decks set were very tournament playable straight out of the box.
Yeah.
And they could be easily upgraded to tier 1 versions just by adding a few extra pieces too.
They were like $10.
Interesting. So I thought about it and debated whether I should give the box a shot. Really just for kicks and giggles, because I figured my Pokemon friends would think it's funny. I play a couple games with my homie, laugh about how absurd Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, and then go back to my merry life, right?
So true.
Well, I did just that. I went to my local Best Buy and bought a box. I posted a picture of me buying the deck on my Twitter, expecting like maybe 4 or 5 of my Pokemon followers to laugh about it. I only had like 200 followers. I'm not a major content creator or famous player or anything, so no one would really care about my experiences getting into
I care. I care.
Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Oh, 84k views. That's huge. 100k views. Jesus. My opinion on Yui after watching a deck guide on solitaring one game is that literally just embodiment of this meme. Yeah. So so all of this to get to that one card. Awesome. Huge.
Well, I guess people really did care about my experience of getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! So I decided I couldn't let the people down. I was going to start learning the game and taking it seriously. I downloaded Master Duel, watched some deck and combo guides, brushed up on how the chain works, and all that stuff. It was information overload.
This is already going so well, right? This is what you have to do when you're trying to learn a game like this.
But I grinded my way through it all. I even managed to win a game on Master Duel after like 5 or 6 attempts. And let me tell you, I haven't felt that proud of accomplishing anything in a game since like when I got into Dark Souls back in 2016 and I beat some of the toughest bosses in that game.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the Dark Souls of card games. You hear it here first! Go and subscribe to GNTCG right now for that. Go right now and subscribe. You really have to do it. That is such a statement. Deserves everything. And that's a nice concept, but it really depends on how much the hand trap in question really does. Yeah, I can see it. We only have hand traps because big. Oh my god! I haven't just realized the opponent has no extra deck. You're so right. What could the opponent be playing here?
So after a few days of learning the game and talking to so many nice people on Twitter about it, I decided that I wanted to share my experience and what it's been like as a new Yu-Gi-Oh player in 2026. I also thought I'd share some of the similarities and differences between Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon that I've noticed, at least so far.
Learning the
Where
game.
do I even start? This game is so f***ing hard.
Yeah?
The learning curve is insane. Want to know how hard Pokemon is? I've taught people the complete rules of the game in under 10 minutes.
Yes.
Including some corner cases that aren't immediately obvious too, like damage versus damage counters placed by effects of attacks. They might have a couple of reminder questions when we play our first game, like maybe how many supporters you can play, or how many items you can play in a turn, or whether you can evolve on the first turn you play a Pokemon. But generally they'll understand the rules well enough to play in a tournament setting after like just 1 or 2 practice games.
That is so true. That is absolutely true. Like you probably miss some details, but there are details. And then you play the game and you're like, oh, I cannot do this in the first turn. Oh, okay. Oh, I can only do this once per turn. Oh, okay. And that's it. You only need to be explain that one time, right? You explain it one time and it's done. You already know it, right? But Yu-Gi-Oh is it's so weird, dude. It's so weird.
Now Yu-Gi-Oh on the other hand, let's just say I wasn't expecting the chain to be so confusing. I played Magic the Gathering competitively in the past, so I'm familiar with the idea of playing cards on your opponent's turn, but Yu-Gi-Oh kicks it up a notch with how the chain works, and how priority gets passed between players. It took a while for me to wrap my head around the various spell speeds, and I know on more than one occasion I was angry at Master Duel for skipping a chance to let me activate a monster effect, only for me to realize later that it wasn't a quick effect so it couldn't be activated at all. This isn't even getting into more intricate stuff like monster abilities going on a different, entirely separate chain when they're summoned from a first chain. I still haven't quite wrapped my head around that yet.
That's what I'm thinking, right? If the quick effects and, you know, activating something in your opponent's turn is the weird part of Yu-Gi-Oh, which, because other games don't have the interaction, right? How are you playing Radiant Typhoon, which is like kind of dependent on that, right? On quick effects. When I learned to play the game properly, I was playing Cyber Dragons, which is a going second one, right? So you kind of play only on your turn. You don't have that many interactions. But like Jen is doing an amazing job if they learn with Radiant Typhoon. It's such a confusing deck, especially for someone who is not familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh. I guess it could be worse.
One thing that I've noticed is that out of the big 3 card games, that being Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, Magic tends to play off the top of the deck a lot more, whereas Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon tend to have a lot more tutors. I picked up and played Magic decks before without knowing any of the cards in the deck, and I've been just fine, since you're usually limited to only playing the cards from your hand onto the board. You're not really searching your deck for cards every single turn. Tutors are fun, and I do like what Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon do with them, but in my experience, having to choose a card in your deck really puts pressure on you to pick the correct card every single time.
Well,
both games have a lot of tutors, but I think where they differ is how easy or obvious the correct card choice is when it comes to using a given tutor. For example, in Pokemon, if my board has a copy of Ralts on it, and I play an Ultra Ball, it's pretty obvious that I most likely want to get a Kirlia because Kirlia says right on the card to evolve Ralts into it. It gets more complicated with cards like Arven or Secret Box, which can get multiple cards. But in general, I found that the correct card to get based on the board in Pokemon is usually at least fairly obvious. Or at the very least, even if the card you grab isn't optimal, it would have to be pretty deliberate for you to grab a completely useless card. In other words, using deck search is a skill that even brand new players can learn quickly without having to spend 2 minutes thumbing through their deck and reading each of their cards to choose the right one every single time.
Okay, I understand. I understand this. Just when you search for cards, it's like simple to understand what you need to search for in Pokemon. In Yu-Gi-Oh! You just activate a searcher and then you see a list of cards, a big list of cards, and I'm like, okay, what do I get in this situation in particular? You have to think so far ahead, right? I think chains in Yu-Gi-Oh are straightforward. You chain effects, resolve everything, and then check if more effects go trigger before continuing the turn. Magic stacks. Yeah, magic stacks are like more confusing, I think, because I think they have priorities or something. I don't remember. No, I feel like chains are confusing because you need to understand what is cost and what is the effect. That's what makes it confusing, because if you don't understand that difference as a new player, you see, wait, why does this activate already and then my opponent does something but the full effect is not done, right? So for us right now that we already know the game, differentiating between cost and effect, oh, that makes sense. But for new players, sometimes it's like the semicolon, I think it's called, semicolon. Cost and effects can be confusing, that's true. Yeah, that's what makes the chains difficult to understand, in my opinion, right? And because sometimes you see effects that, oh, when this is destroyed, it should activate. But then the chain still goes, right? And then after the chain is done, then you can activate the effect of the thing when it's destroyed. The whens and thing, right? The ifs and whens. It's like complicated. That's why, like, in theory, it makes sense, right? But because there is so many things going on at the same time that they are not intuitive for new players. And, well, as someone who has, like, who has tried to teach this game to a new player, I can understand this, how that's confusing, right? The ifs and whens are also confusing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that the chains are confusing because of the extra stuff, not the chain itself, but rather like everything that could happen during the chain. I could see searching a useless card in order to think your deck before you activate the draw effect. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I can see that. Demon also has simple searching. Yeah, I can see that most games will probably have that. That cool tune, chain negate monster, probably makes this worse. Oh yeah, that you negate something that was previously on the chain. Well, yeah, that's one card, right? I guess I can see it. Yeah, and it's also not a cool tune card. It's just a card.
But my experience playing Yu-Gi-Oh wasn't like this at all. The deck I decided to build on Master Duel was the Radiant Typhoon deck.
That's
and
wild.
who knows, maybe it's just the deck I decided to start with, but this deck uses a ton of cards that can search out monsters that say Radiant Typhoon in their name. So when I would use a card like Radiant Typhoon Crocea, I would get like 8 different options thrown up on my screen. And since I'm new, it's not obvious which one is the best one to choose. I had to read every single card to remember what their effects even were. Was this one the monster that gets a level 4 Radiant Typhoon monster?
That's so true. You, especially when you're running out of time learning the game, you have to read everything and try to remember, wait, what this card does exactly? Because every card has like 3 effects or something.
Was this one the one that gets a spell or trap? Was this one the one that shuffles stuff on my opponent's board back into their deck? Then once I read the cards, I had to think how I wanted to play out the rest of my turn. Which Radiant Typhoon monster do I end up going for? I ended up using so much time just to wrap my head around the possibilities and then figure out what the best option even was. And it doesn't even stop there either. Once I'd get my engine pieces set up on the board, I had even more decisions to make when it came to which extra deck monster to pivot into. Do I summon Totem Bird here? Little Knight? IP Masquerena? Radiant Typhoon Varuroon? Greatfly? Wind the Wind Charmer? This stuff is probably really obvious to experienced players, but let me tell you, I literally timed out 80% of my matches when—
So true, 100%. This always happens to new players. Especially with this level of complexity for the deck, right? That's what I'm saying. You have to read so much. This, not only do the cards have essays printed on in each one of them, But also they don't give you very much time at all to read the cards since you will just time out and lose. I'm sorry, opponent. I'm new to this game. I'm sure the opponent doesn't mind.
And starting out, because I had to spend so much time reading my cards to even try and figure out which one was the correct one to play. This sort of decision paralysis is where I stumbled the most this week when trying to learn how to actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! And also, as an aside, I also played the Mitsurugi deck in paper, and let me tell you, trying to decide what to grab was so much worse with this than when I played Radiant Typhoon on Master Duel, because at least on Master Duel,
Mitsurugi, dude.
it filters out the valid search targets for you, and it formats the effects to be a little bit more readable. Though that being said, on the topic of spending a ton of time reading my cards,
Card readability.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, since I know this has already been memed about to death, but oh my god, Yu-Gi-Oh!
So
cards
Endymion.
are a pain to read. This is probably the most wordy Pokemon
Show the
card
Endymion.
that sees any play right now. Its first ability is a play effect that gets up to 5 darkness energy from your deck and puts on your Pokemon that say Marnies on them. Then, it also has an attack that does 180 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon and 30 to one of the bench monsters.
Come on, do it. You know you want
It's not
to.
the simplest card out there, but because of how it separates out the ability and the attack, it's pretty easy for me to read. Now, let's compare this to a Yu-Gi-Oh card that stumped me for a while. Super Star Slayer Typhon.
Okay. What? What? This is not that bad. I thought we were gonna show a pendulum here. I thought we were gonna show like Sark or like the Endymion guy. Is Typhon confusing?
Again, I'm not gonna harp on this too long because I know it's already been talked about to death, but like, couldn't the designers have at least put line breaks or bullet points or something to separate out these abilities?
Oh, because this. Okay, I understand the complaint here. Because I'm pretty sure this has the same amount of words. It's just like how it's structured. Okay.
I know Master Duel does this, and I'm also aware that in Asia they number out the abilities on physical cards, but it still sucks playing them in paper in the US.
Yeah.
The first deck I played was the Mitsurugi deck that came with the Legendary Modern Decks collection. And oh my god, this product wasn't made for brand new players at all, was it?
Nope.
To help you understand where I'm coming from, because this might sound ridiculous to you guys that I bought a structure deck like this to start with, let me tell you about how Pokémon does it. Pokémon has introductory decks called League Battle decks. These are generally ever so slightly simplified, yet tier 1 archetypes that are designed for new players to buy and get into competitive Pokémon with.
Sounds
in the Pokemon
good.
community, whenever a new player joins the scene, it's very common advice to just tell them, hey, go buy one of the League Battle decks, play it at a few tournaments, and then upgrade it whenever you feel ready.
Play it at tournaments. People are just buying cards and playing at tournaments, and I'm here like spending a whole year trying to mentally prepare for for playing locals. That's crazy.
And this is very good advice, mind you. 3 of the latest of the decks are based around Dragapult, Gardevoir, and Charizard, which have all won major tournaments in the last year. So players will pick up the decks, get a feel for how the tier 1 archetype works at its core, and then upgrade it with more optimized tutors and tech cards and the like. It's overall a fantastic experience for new players, since the decks are pretty easy to play at a basic level. I know a ton of people who've gone this route and then become entrenched Pokemon players.
Wow.
Heck, this is how I got into Pokemon in the first place. I bought a Charizard League Battle deck back in late 2024, and then fell in love with the game soon after.
To be fair, Pendulum is not really relevant right now. Typhon is confusing. Like, what do you mean it's a rank 12? You can summon without well, it's literally written in the card. The pendulums are the ones that are confusing because you don't understand what pendulums do exactly because it's not written in the card. But I see the point that it's confusing. Yeah, I see it.
So I was expecting something similar in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'll fully admit, maybe this one is on me. Maybe there is a product out there that really is both ready to play at tournaments and yet still easy for beginners to pick up the game and learn it with. But in my opinion, the Legendary Modern decks were absolutely not made for beginners. At least not for beginners who didn't want to be chucked straight into the deep end of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pool. I absolutely could not pick up and play the deck. I had to ask so many questions to the poor guy I was playing with. I felt so bad for him. If I told a person—
That's my biggest fear, dude. That's my biggest fear. Having to actually ask the other guy. I feel so bad.
person who's never played a card game before to start with the Legendary Modern decks, 9 out of 10 times they would get so frustrated at the complexity and probably just bounce off of Yu-Gi-Oh! Entirely. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing the product itself. I think the Dex collection is a fantastic product and I'm still so happy I bought it. I think I'll most likely be upgrading the Mitsurugi deck if I move to a place that has a strong in-person Yu-Gi-Oh scene, but it absolutely was not a pick-up-and-play experience for beginners. And
Yeah,
unless
probably
there
not.
actually is a product that does this well that's also tournament viable, then I think it's a bit of a shame that there's no good equivalent to Pokemon's League Battle decks in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Is there a deck that is easy to play but and also competitively viable? I feel like Sky Striker is closer to that than Mitsurugi, but it's still not it. But Sky Striker is definitely easier to play, I think. I think, at least. Like, it's simpler to understand. The cards are also easy to read, easier to read. But it's still complicated, I think. I don't know if there is another deck that you can get here. No, I don't think there is. I remember a guy at a near card shop who tried to use Cold Buy as a hand trap, and then on his turn, and he asked if he could use it now and what the difference was. Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah, because that is not written in the card, right? You say quick spell. Oh yeah, I can activate it from my hand. Yeah, that's a hand trap, right? Obviously, of course. Mystical Space Typhoon, I can activate it in your opponent's turn, obviously.
I can make an entire video about Pokemon TCG Live, which is Pokemon's digital client. It's pretty notorious in the Pokemon community for being bare bones, buggy, and overall just kind of ugly to look at. But on the bright side,
I think it looks better than Master Duel. I think it looks better than Master Duel, I don't know.
By far the most generous digital card game I've ever played. Even more so than Legends of Runeterra if any of you guys played that. Rest in peace, Legends of Runeterra PvP. I've played Pokemon TCG Live off and on for about a year and a half, and I have so much digital currency that I can literally craft every single relevant deck in the format like 10 times over. I'm never going to run out of crafting materials. In fact, it's physically impossible to spend money in Pokemon TCG Live. This game exists to be a companion to paper cards, instead of a vehicle for Pokemon to make money off of. On the other hand, Master Duel seems to me like it's the complete opposite of Pokemon's digital client.
Okay, I wouldn't say that, but yes.
It's pop-in animations for boss monsters when you summon them, it has cool sound effects, the cards look modern, the animations are sleek, and it's generally just a pretty enjoyable experience to play. But, and I might ruffle some feathers when I say this, but I do have to say it, the economy is just not nearly as good as the Pokemon TCG Live economy.
I agree. Because in Pokemon, you can decraft, basically, you can dismantle every card that you want, and they give you, like, there's only one currency, basically, right? There is no N, R, SR, and UR. Everything is the same. Obviously, if you get enough normal cards, you get like very few points, but those like stack up, right? So you can get a very good card, like expensive card, with that. So it's like way easier, right? But in Master Duel, the only thing that matters basically is UR and SR in some cases, but mostly UR, right? So yeah.
Pokemon TCG Live gives you tons of starter decks completely for free, and many of these need very little dust to craft into tournament-winning versions. Yu-Gi-Oh! Seemed to shower me in gems really early on when creating my account, but once I used these gems to buy the selection packs I thought were the best, it got so much more stingy. It seems like they really want you to spend money on the game.
Okay, I need to see what decks were created
Selection
here.
Packs I thought were the best, it got so much more stingy. It seems like they really
what is this? Sky Strikers? I see. Budget Radiant Typhoon. And this is a Radiant Typhoon. The starting deck, Link Generation. I understand.
really want you to spend money on the game, and I've had to get used to the change from being spoiled by Pokemon to have.
Dude, look at these cards. Typhon, Zeus. We're missing staples here.
To save up cards to dust in Master Duel. I still haven't even finished my Radiant Typhoon deck since I'm missing some key staples I want to run, like Called by the Grave and Moltarmi Fuwal.
You have the Dark Magician. Price for a week? I'm putting my detective hat on right now. I feel like the Dark Magician has been out of the Royal Dark Magician has been out of it for a while. I think this is more than a week. But sure, it could be this video is from 8 days ago. I don't know.
follows. Another thing that's annoyed me a bit, those League Battle decks I've been talking about previously, well in paper Pokemon TCG, whenever you buy anything physically, whether it be a pack or a precon, it always comes with a QR code you can scan in Pokemon TCG Live to get a digital version of. In other words, when you buy a League Battle deck online or at your local game store, you get a free copy to mess around with in PTCGL as well. I was disappointed when I learned that in Master Duel didn't have this feature at all. I was hoping to get Mitsurugi practice in Master Duel, since I thought the deck was really fun in paper, but alas, that wasn't really possible.
Right now you cannot get Mitsurugi easily, right? They don't have you have to craft it. There is not even a package for that as like a Sky Striker, right? That's also a thing, right? Some cards are like if you want to play Draco Tail, what do? You have to craft every single card individually. It's not possible. It was part of the 4th anniversary event, but wasn't that like 3 months ago? I guess I don't know. Maybe I think it ended like a month ago, probably. Yeah, maybe this video took time to be made. Maybe. That's a guaranteed royal from login thing. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They had to play it during that week, but that was like over a month ago. I'm pretty sure. I remember in older Yu-Gi-Oh games, you could input the card code on the bottom of the real card to get it in the game. Huh. No, the DM was not a random pack UR Royal. It was guaranteed. No, I know you could just get it while playing the game. I'm just saying that you will have to play the game during that time, but that time ended like over a month ago. I'm pretty sure. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. It's like a detail. Okay, but you're right. It's easier than I thought. So they just had to boot the game, so it doesn't matter. Oh, so they are level 10. Could you imagine if they were like level 35 or something in their video about learning Yu-Gi-Oh? That would be crazy, right? That would be messed up.
So overall, after spending 1 week playing Yu-Gi-Oh, what are my thoughts? Well, I think it's a great game. It definitely lives up to its reputation of being super difficult to learn, much more so than any other card game I've played. I think if they wanted to, Konami could simplify the effects of new cards to make it easier for people to get into the game, but I think reducing complexity would also cut down on some gameplay intricacies that I know I'd enjoy once I managed to wrap my head around them. I do think there are some improvements that could be made to the layout of the cards to help them be easier to read.
Definitely.
But in my opinion, a lot of the complexity of reading cards is also just because of the way that Yu-Gi-Oh cards are designed. And I do think that Master Duel gets a lot right in terms of how it feels to play, but I can confidently say that I hate how its economy is set up. So what's next for me?
Well, honestly, all of this is perfectly valid. I played way more than a week, in fairness. No, I know. I'm just joking. Come on. Just a little joke.
I plan on playing this game even more. I really want to try going to some local tournaments, since I found that locals are the best way to improve at card games while making some new friends too.
That's the hardest part for me.
Who knows, eventually I might make it out to a YCS at some point.
Whoa.
I've been to 4 Pokemon regionals, which are roughly the equivalent of YCSs, and they've all been a ton of fun. I'd be curious to see what the differences between Pokemon regionals and Yu-Gi-Oh! YCSs are. Anyways, thank you for watching. This is my first YouTube video I've ever made, and so let me know what your thoughts are. Be sure to
really? First video doesn't seem like it. Interesting. Reminds me of someone.
And subscribe if you enjoyed my content. I might make future videos, who knows. Until then, I will see you all later.
That was a really cool video. That was a really good one. I wasn't expecting this to be the first video. I feel like I'm having a deja vu right now. But it's true.
Opposite of Pokemon.
Okay, the first YouTube video from yeah, no. You know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm really curious now where this goes. Really awesome video, honestly. And it's interesting to see, obviously, the perspective of a new player. Always. The perspective of a new player, it says a lot about what the game really is like, right? Because we're used to it and we don't think about it the same way that outsiders do. And we kind of put things into perspective. Yeah. In fairness, this is like the fourth creator whose first video was let me try Yu-Gi-Oh! And it blew up. I'm pretty sure there is more than 4. But yeah, I feel it feels weird that it recently it's been happening often. So yeah, maybe I should have done that. Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I think of that? Why? It's too late for me now. Should I do that video again? Not again, because I never did it. I made a short. I just made a short about it. Should I make that video? Like how it's been like, what, 7? Like around 6 or 7 months, I think. Like, no, I'm not joking. I'm not making a 6 or 7 joke. I actually don't remember. Maybe I should do that. I've been inspired again by another creator getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! So maybe we will do that. But yeah, as always, awesome video. Thank you. It is definitely interesting to see a new player's opinion of the game. So it makes sense. It's been happening often. Yeah. I'd offer to be friends, but that's too parasocial for me. No, I mean IRL. I'm obviously looking for what am I talking about? Like someone IRL to play the game with, right? That's the hard part for me. Like IRL, online. I'm not lacking of I'm not craving for some. Like I'm fine, right? It's the thing is like IRL is different. I know, I just couldn't pass the opportunity for the joke. Yeah, okay. It's cool to see it from a Pokemon player perspective because of how different the game is from Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, exactly. It's like we got a completely different perspective coming from Pokemon. Which is actually what I played before, but I wasn't obviously at the level of Jen here. Jen clearly had way more experience than I had with Pokemon because of the fact that they played on paper, right? On paper and participated in tournaments. I only played the what's it called? The oh my god. The online client, right? The online game, right? And even though I made it like to the highest rank, which was the Master Ball thing, it was like, okay, like what do I do now? Everyone is playing the same. It got boring to me. I don't know. Maybe it would have been different in paper. Who knows? I played 1 month of Pokemon and I can barely call it played because I ran Gotilid Lock, which is like Stunt Turbo. Okay, no. I played Charizard. I played the Charizard, which at the time was the best deck. And what was it? It was like the Terastallized Charizard, like that dark type Charizard. And it was really fun. It was really fun. It's just big monster, big attack. Charizard, the Floodgate. Charizard is not a Floodgate. What are you talking about? It's the opposite. It's just a big monster with big numbers, right? Either you have something with more attack or you don't. That's it. Actually, I don't remember how the game works. But they have HP, right? They have HP. So, and it has also like a lot of attack and a lot of HP. I think it gets more attack the less prize cards you had or something. I don't remember, dude. It's been like 2 years, I think, since I played the game. So I don't remember. But it was basically something that you summon and it had a bunch of attack, a lot of HP, and it was basically a big boss monster. But it wasn't a Floodgate, obviously. Budew is the Floodgate. There's a lot of Floodgates. I remember I hated Snorlax. Snorlax was the annoying one. Snorlax was the Floodgate. You can only attack it, I think, with Pokemon that have certain attack, I think. And all my Pokemon had more attack than that, so I just couldn't win with the deck that I was playing. Yeah. Alright, that's it. That's the video. I don't know. That's the video. I don't know why I went to that tangent. I guess it's relevant, but yeah.